about 10:30 at night and work until about 5:30 in the morning. Come home, sleep for a couple hours, watch the kids all day long, work out in the afternoon. Brenda and I would have a little dinner together and then back to work again. So that was the life. And so there's
eating on food stamps.
Well, yeah, she was, from food stamps from before, and me making $5.50 an hour.
But throughout all of this, Kurt, you're thinking, still, I just need my shot.
There was never a time where I got a chance to play and I didn't play well. And so that's what I think, of all the things, when people say, what kept you going, that was it, is that until somebody shows me that I can't play, I can't give up on this dream, because all I know is that when I do get that opportunity, I excel.
So Iowa has an AFL team, an Arena Football League team, the Barnstormers, with weird helmets with things on the
goggles.
The goggles on top of the helmet, which always kind of freaked me out. But you get an opportunity to play with them. Was that a come down for you?
Well, huge. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I am so much better than arena football. While I'm working for $5.50 an hour in a grocery store, I'm thinking to myself, I'm so much better than arena football. And of course, the first thing I asked was, how much do you make? And at that time, you made $800 a game, and you got $1,000 if you won. So, I quickly did the tally on what that would look like compared to what I was making in a grocery store. And so I decided to give it a shot.
It's a crazy game.
It is a crazy game.
Guys are flying all over the place. It's on this small little field, and everything's just crammed down. That was kill curse.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because with all that crazy stuff, I fell in love with the game again. Is that I had a bunch of guys that didn't care how much money they made, didn't care what the accommodations were, probably were never going to play in the NFL, or, if they still had that dream, was unlikely like me, but they just loved playing football.
And you were really good at this particular brand of football, because it was your calling card in the NFL, was your toughness. I mean, there's not a teammate I could talk to that wouldn't say, he was one of the toughest guys on our team. That's where that comes from.
Had I made it with Green Bay, would I ever have been the same quarterback that I was after playing arena football? Funny story with Brett Favre, as you mentioned, he was just getting his start with Green Bay. From the time I was in camp in 1994 until the day I retired in 2009, Brett Favre did not miss a single start in the National Football League. Not a single start. So had I made the team there, who knows when I would have gotten my first snap in the National Football League. Instead, I get cut, and I probably go play more football in the next 4-year period than anybody in any football game ever. So I got a chance to become a quarterback. At 1 year in college, there's no way I would have been the same guy. And so we always talk about things happen for a reason and how it works out. Without question, that time in arena football made me so much better as a quarterback.
And that's kind of the means to an end for you getting to the NFL and a potential tryout with the Chicago Bears.
Okay, well, the story goes is that in arena football, one of the other coaches on one of the other teams was making calls to try to get me out of the league. And so he was familiar with the general manager of the Bears at the time. So they called, and of course, I had been waiting 3 years for an NFL tryout. So they called, and I was like, when and where? I'm in. And after they called me, I ran and told my wife, I'm like, next Friday, I'm going to Chicago for a tryout with the Bears. And she kind of just looked at me, funny. And I'm like, why are you not excited for me? And she goes, well, because we're getting married on Saturday. You're not going to Chicago the day before our wedding. Okay, we got plans. And I was like, because I forgot all about it. The Bears called. I'm in. This is my chance.
You're nothing if not honest.
Exactly. I forgot all about it. So I had to call the Bears back, and I'm like, okay, I can't do it. I'm getting married on Saturday. But any other day, I'm in. So we worked it out for the next week. So I came back and I told my wife, I'm like, all right, we're good for next weekend. We'll get married. My tryout's the following week. She gave me the look again. I'm like, what now? She goes, our honeymoon. We're going to Jamaica the following week. Okay, called the Bears back again. Any other day that you want me to work out, I'm in. They said, okay, you go on your honeymoon. We'll get in touch with you, and we'll get a workout in after the honeymoon. The night before we left from Jamaica from our honeymoon, I woke up the next morning, and I had a fever. I was sweating. I looked down. My right elbow, my throwing elbow, was swollen about the size of a grapefruit. And they're like, well, it was probably a scorpion or a centipede, but you got bit. And, you know, there's really nothing you can do about it. It's just going to take time to work through this. So I called the Bears back once again and had to tell them, hey, I got bit on my throwing elbow by a centipede.
So they think you're insane.
Really? I did. Yes. Needless to say, the Bears never called back. So that tryout went out the window, and you know, I'm just crushed. I thought, you know, that's it. That was my last chance. Here it was, right in front of me. I didn't even get to the point where I could throw a football for them. And that's when a couple weeks later, the Rams called and offered me a tryout. So when I thought it was going to be my last opportunity, around the corner came another one.
I talked to Dick Vermeil. He said Kurt Warner showed up, and the first thing I knew that was different about him was he knew every play in our playbook. So you obviously took this as kind of last chance cafe.
Yeah, no, there was no doubt. I mean, I was 27 years old at the time. And
so you're going to be a 27-year-old, in essence, rookie.
A 27-year-old rookie.
And then you, as the scout team quarterback, were just wearing out the first-string defense of the St. Louis Rams. He said, I knew one of two things. Either this guy could really play or our defense was awful because you made the defense look terrible, and then it began, right? And you stuck, finally.
I ran into Dick in the hallway the day that cuts were being made. And I ran into him, and he goes, I want you to know you made the team. And he told me, he goes, just watching you, you know, I don't know what it is, but there's something different and something special about you. And he said, I couldn't let you go without figuring out what it was.
He told me
something special there.
He told me it was your character. And he said, I could see it on him the minute he arrived. And I said, was it because this was a 27-year-old rookie who was married now and had kids and, you know, had been bouncing around here and there? And he said, yeah, that was part of it. He showed up different than anybody that had shown up for the first days in a Rams uniform. So he saw it. But the way you became the starter was through this tragic injury to Trent Green, and he gets hurt in the preseason.
Yeah. I mean, he was the reason that anybody had hope in our team whatsoever. We were 4-12 the year before. He came in and was lighting it up. We added Marshall and Torrey, but he was lighting it up, and people are like, oh my gosh, this team has a chance.
So when Trent Green goes down on a hit by Rodney Harrison, and now the quarterback that they've paid money to run this operation is lost with a torn-up knee for the rest of the year, and Dick Vermeil gives a press conference where he cries, and he basically says something like, we will rally around Kurt Warner. And I said to him, why were you crying? Was that because you were heartbroken for Trent? Was that because you thought this whole thing was going down the drain?
This was Dick Vermeil's third year in St. Louis. And all the speculation was, they don't win this year, Dick Vermeil's going to be fired.
You're lining up in game one of the NFL season, and it is now or it is never.
Right. I know it's the NFL. I know it's against the best players in the world. But this is what I'm good at. You know, this is what I do, and I believe that without question, I'm going to be successful.